welcome to Bledsoe Said So, guys. For the second time ever, we have two guests at the same time, which is always a good time for us. Both times it's ever happened. We're joined by my sister, Emily. You guys know her and love her. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. And then we're joined by the amazing Master Ignacio Diaz Jr., my friend who was with us last week and is just a lovely human being. And then, of course, you have me, your host, Ryan Bledsoe, and Alex, who is still with us to this very day. You're not going to show yourself? Don't trip me up like that, man. Look at that. I'm telling you, we need more stuff behind your head, dude. It's killing me. So right off rip, before we get into the conversation, I want to go ahead and just hit three things. So if you want to stay current on all of our Bledsoe Said So events or public appearances that my father's doing, that, sky watches, conferences, things like that, follow us on our Instagram, Bledsoe Said So. As of now, Instagram is where we are keeping tabs on all of our current things. Okay, so we're always putting it on the Instagram. People are always messaging us. Where's your schedule? I don't see what you guys are doing. When's the next Skywatch? When's the next this? When's the next that? It's Bledsoe Said So. My wife is a professional marketing person. My father does not have a marketing team. We are a family of 6 people doing this on our own with no professional help. So please understand this. Give us a little slack. My wife does post these schedules that we, all these things we do on our podcast Instagram. Bledsoe Said So. So please, no more. Where's the schedule? We do post the schedule. Thank you very much for following us on our Instagram. Now, to stay connected to everything in our Bledsoe Said So sphere, go to bledsoesaidso.com, and that is our official website where you can see our shop, where we have our merch. You can see the links to all of our channels, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, listening on Apple or Spotify, everything, Patreon. And then that brings me to my last point. If you want to support the show, because there's a lot of intensive labor of love that goes into this to get the message out to the people. So go to patreon.com/Bledsoe Said So. We have a $5 tier and a $10 tier. And in both of those tiers, you can join our community. And then in the $10 tier even, you can be literally physically a part of the show by having your name scroll in the credits at the end of the show. With both of those tiers, you get access to our Discord community of over 800 people. Alex is in there. I'm in there. Heck, even Ignacio and Emily are in there. And a lot of really, really cool people. And then also you have a show hosted by me, Ryan Bledsoe, called Full Disclosure. So without further ado, welcome Emily and Ignacio.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Hi. Well, I get the credit for Ignacio joining the family because he was my friend first. So
I'm not going to dispute it.
We were joking this week about how we don't really remember how we started being friends. It was just over the internet, and then it was a fast friendship, and here we are.
Here we are.
From coast to coast, finally getting to hang out this year after a couple of years of just doing so much on the internet and collaborating, and now we're manifested finally hanging out to hang out, For sure. So it's been great. Yeah. I mean, my album came out this year, and it wouldn't have been the shiny little gem it is without Ignacio.
Got shined on both sides, all facets. Huh?
Yeah. It was a labor of love. Yeah. What should we say about the album? What do you think?
It's your album. First of all, what's it called?
It's called Colors. It's called Colors. I've talked about it on here before, pretty in depth about.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't remember which. It might have been Emily Volume 2 episode.
It was a while ago.
But that was before a lot of things had developed. So basically, I went to the Monroe Institute in 2022, had this massive experience that I talked about on that episode, which might have been episode 76.
So let's take this as an opportunity. Let's kind of back up a step. Let's dig our heels in the sand, and as much as you're willing to do again, because that's been 3 years ago.
I can recap.
Let's start from there, because really the album comes from there.
Right.
And from the 3 years between then and now, a lot has unfolded on your journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So my whole life, I've been a musician. I struggled, at a high level. I was a high level musician, still am. And I struggled to write anything that felt real. And looking back, I just, didn't feel the permission to really voice, our circumstances as a family. I couldn't voice my opinions and emotions freely because of everything going on, right? So when it came to expressing my truth, myself, my deepest feelings, I was really suppressed in that. And writing music was too painful because it tapped into those things. So I never could actually write something and then share it. Anything I wrote, I would scrap it because it was either too personal or it was too fake because I was trying to mask all of these hidden things. It took a long time to realize that's what was happening. But when I went to Monroe in 2022, it's not an accident, but to me, it was an accident because I didn't know what I was getting into. I had no idea. I was actually scared to go to the Monroe Institute because my mom didn't know what it was. She was like, they're going to tamper with your brain. You're going to be crazy. For real. Yeah. I was scared to go. And I went.
It's true. She was scared.
I was struggling. Ryan can tell you, I wasn't really myself in that time period. A lot had happened. COVID, I left my degree. I was in New York and my dreams were crushed, and then my cousin died and all of this stuff happened. And
you also had never publicly
spoken about any of this.
Yes. Emily was the last one who held on to that shred of normalcy and wouldn't talk about any of the crazy things that we experience around the greater extended family.
Publicly. It was like my life behind closed doors.
Yes.
And when people came over, I was all in because it was my reality. But I just couldn't. There was a mechanism in me that actually would shut me down. I've since learned all about trauma and I do healing work and all of that, whatever. But I didn't understand there was an actual mechanism shutting me down and preventing me from speaking my truth and being authentic. So I go to Monroe and that is just destroyed in a good way, right? That mechanism was like, bye. And then everything just sort of flooded out of me. The music, the healing that happened, I ended up going on this, I don't know how much you want me to recap of that journey, but
as much as you need.
I didn't know what was happening because it was a special event tailored around my dad and I, and then other experiencers. So people who were already expanded, and we didn't have to take prerequisite courses. So I didn't take Gateway. I didn't take any of the prereq courses, and I just went in and we went to levels that you don't even go to in Gateway. I was kind of just thrown in the deep end, so to say.
With no understanding.
And I'm happy it happened this way now. And I was then too, but I had no idea what was happening. And I was leaving my body. I was astral projecting and healing myself. I went and found past versions of myself and liberated them. I healed them. And I found myself in heaven and was talking with, the divine and the mother and all of the stuff. And so naturally I come out light as a feather. I was changed.
You were changed.
Absolutely changed. And that's when
You came and did my show.
I came and did his show. But before I get to that, I was kind of leaving my body on accident a lot after that happened. And I would just go into these flow states where I was manically drawing my impressions of these time periods of my life and these stories and these emotions and feelings that I never expressed before. I was finally expressing them. Mm-hmm. And I'm synesthetic, so I see color, I see shape, I see texture, and 3D landscapes of impressions of music and feeling. And so I never honored that before. And then after that happened, I realized that's really weird that I do that. Not weird, but different. That's not normal. So I was obsessed with it, and I just started writing music that way and kind of let go of the fear of what this will turn out to be. I just felt very strongly I needed to do this. So I wrote it for nobody except my own healing purpose. That was it. I wrote 7 songs in less than 6 months after 25 years of never writing anything I ever liked. Ever. Except for like composition class where you compose little
exercises.
You know what I mean? Like I could do that all day, but that's not the same. So it was less than a year that I had a concept album finished.
That's huge.
After a lifetime, right? And so
you were really changed.
I was extremely changed. It wasn't all easy because I'm starting to realize all of this stuff. There's grief and healing and all of these things came out, but it was good.
And if I may, being your brother, from the outside looking in, you were, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but you were a lot more positive to be around after that. Because I think you were coming more into touch with yourself and you were understanding more about yourself and you were opening up more, and it was just like you were a completely different person. Me and Jenny were just like, oh my God, dude, I don't really understand what you're saying because I had never been to Monroe yet. I was like, I believe you. I don't really understand going out of body and all that, but like, wow. Good
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I wasn't really educated when we were there because everyone at that event was an experiencer or an experienced Monroe person. So everyone kind of, you know, had done things or experienced high level things, right? So I didn't need to be instructed on consciousness, if that makes sense. So but I had never gone out of body like that.
It wasn't a program as far like an official Monroe program. It was a private event.
Yes.
Right? It wasn't like a curriculum. It was all about
connecting consciously with the phenomenon. So our goal was to do research and connect with the phenomenon through these exercises. But we were using focus levels and doing all of the things, but they were unguided. There was no guidance. It was just
just music,
orchestrated music
and
with the
audio
signals.
tech, or just audio tech, just the entrainment.
Yeah, and I was intuitively, I don't know how much I should say about, you know, some of the levels I went to and what happened, but I was intuitively doing things that I found out are taught at those focus levels in the actual programs, and I wasn't taught to do any of them. So like the structure of the goals or whatever. So I left there, changed, wrote this music, and then the timing of the music releasing just never panned out, and I was frustrated because I wanted to share it with the world. I had shared about it on Bledsoe Said So, and people were messaging me all the time, when will we hear your music? And I was frustrated because it just wasn't happening for one reason or another. And it was nobody's fault. It's how it happened.
It's timing.
Yeah. And then I go on the History Channel and was at the Monroe Institute again. What year was that? 23?
That's when you recorded it.
2023 is when I recorded it. I had my brain scanned, and then I did some exercises after that while I was there and had some pretty profound stuff I've also shared on here. So that was just another through line. And as time is passing, I feel like my music is changing. Even though the lyrics are the same, the chords are the same, the melody's the same, the music is changing.
The substance of it.
The substance is changing. And so I do all the History Channel recording stuff. We go to the Everglades, and I'm finding out.
And when did that come out, by the way, for the listener?
That came out this year in July.
So just so you guys can understand that she recorded this late 2023. It was like what, November, and then it was like
it was on my birthday.
It was November 2023, and then one more time in like January or February of 2024. And then it came out all the way in June of 2025.
Yeah.
Just so you guys understand the timeline.
Yeah, and when we were recording, I was expanding also because I've had these experiences and the connection with the phenomenon since I was 10, but I never had gone through any experiments like we did. So to have the hard proof, the data right there in my face after doing this was a little mind bending because, you know, most people might say, oh, you guys are so confident, you do this all the time. Well, we're also just people who've been through a lot of trauma and who were really made to think we were crazy. And when you think you're crazy, it's a really damaging thing, right? And as a child, it messes up your psyche a little bit. You're always a little unsure if you're experiencing reality or not.
Yeah.
Right? Is this real? am I real? Am I crazy? Do I look crazy? There's just so many layers to it. And to have the, the actual people on the show saying this is the result, that was huge for me. And by the way, I didn't go on it without having gone through grief about should I go on it or not. I struggled, Ryan, I don't want to go on it. I don't know if I should, And then I went out and I asked to the heavens, should I go on the show? If you say yes, I will. If you say no, I won't. I got a massive flash of light and then it streaked across the sky very brightly right when I asked it. So I was like, okay, here we go. So I did. And then I met Ignacio somewhere in there. And it was like immediate friendship. And we were both, I don't know how quickly we said we would collaborate on music. It was pretty soon.
The other ironic part I just now put together, I landed at Monroe for the first time in June of 2022.
Right.
And then
I was
in the
there in
fall,
May.
Okay, that's it. So so I probably saw your posts about being there, saw that you were a musician because we had piano playing in common.
Yes.
And, your music degree. And of course, I'm looking to diversify our catalog of sound, especially singers, to have the voice. It's such a powerful carrier of intention and substance.
Right.
And so I thought, I'm going to reach out and, plus the Bledsoes and, Chris, your dad. And I thought, let's just talk and see. Maybe there's the potential of collaboration, and here you go.
And I'm like, hey, we're friends now, and we're collaborating on music, and also just talking a lot, just chatting, and that was really helpful for me. I feel like it may have been mutual, but I feel like you've taught me so much. And then we did Creation Station, which I don't know if you've talked about on the last episode, but
we talked about
a little
mine.
Bit, yeah.
Your Creation Station, and I'll just say that this is something we've talked about a lot, that before the event started, I was getting the expansion, the downloads, the information. So that the consciousness preparation happens before the event starts, right? And you were chatting with me all the time, and all of this stuff is unfolding. So anyway, all the way back to the topic about the timing of the album is I had to wait until I met him and do Creation Station, and then it be entrained with enhanced with the Monroe Sound Science.
Right.
And then here we are. It came out right after the History Channel came out. And I can dive more into that if you want, but it's just a really amazing through line that I couldn't have dreamt up myself. And if I had rushed the timeline and said I have to release it because I'm a human and I have pressure, it wouldn't have been magical.
You missed a few key elements there.
I missed a bunch.
Yeah.
But.
So let's walk it back again. So, okay, you're working on your album for years, and something you forgot to say is you were invited to the second Creator Gateway.
Yeah.
Right? So now here's the kicker. Last spring, I remember being on the phone with you, and you're like, I have this friend named Ignacio. He's at the Monroe's too. We're going to make music together. I'm like, that's really cool. And then I go to the Creator Gateway last June, and then boom, you're there, of course. And, we spend a week together, whatever. We become friends, and then it's like, someday we'll meet in person, Emily and Ignacio or whatever.
And then you got to meet him.
Yeah, right? But then the following year, you get invited to the second Creator Gateway, which was awesome. I know a few people who were there, and also you were there and met a lot of cool people and told me all about it, and I want to get into that. But I think the craziest part that, like, you couldn't plan this, the timing of this is insane, that your album came out on the last night of your Gateway program.
Right.
Right?
That was his genius.
Yeah.
7/25/25.
That was his idea.
Just the unfolding of that was insane. And of course you said, oh wow, I'm going to be there. Then, I'll just drop the album on the last day. But it was like 2 or 3 years of like, when is this going to happen? When is the music going to be finished? When am I going to be done writing? When am I going to put it out? There was all these elements that were unsure. And then of course, as you're writing this thing, the conception of it started with you going to Monroe. You had this unlocking of yourself. And then to close the circle, you drop it while you're there again.
Yeah, I went there, had this really intense experience, and then the next time I was there, I recorded for the History Channel, and then I met Ignacio. I did Creation Station, and I need to talk a little bit about those songs.
And I want to say something about Creation Station that you're talking about is that, and we talked about this in the last episode, about being in service.
Mm-hmm.
And we created this version of Creation Station for your students.
My program.
Your program. And, we talked about it, and I said, hey, this is a really great opportunity to share with your students. You can take it. And we did this private Creation Station, much like the BSS production team did last December. So your experience up to that and saying, yes, let's explore that. And then we ultimately did it. During our talk before, sort of in prep before the program, I said, everything changes the moment you just entertain the idea of participating. You've changed because you've had a new thought. You've had a new idea. You see new options or new potentials. So that now you have a new trajectory. We did Creation Station. Your students, loved it. It was great. There was so much sharing and learning and growth. So you had that as well. And I just wanted to mention that because that plays into it a lot too.
Yeah. And we had decided we would do that before I told them. And so I was entertaining that idea way before they were. And the intention was for me to participate as a student with my students. So I'm always on their level. Like, we're an equal exchange, I feel like, when I coach. But in that situation, I really stepped back, and the intention was to just be guided and to participate with them. And so I was experiencing the change way before they were, and then I brought it to them, and it was a really beautiful thing to experience it alongside them. There was a lot of stuff that happened for each of them, and I think it really benefited them, and it meant a lot to me. So thank you for doing that for my private. That's for the Your Holistic Voice coaching program that I teach. But I wanted to dive in a little bit to the process of those 2 songs that came out, because it's so interesting. The album wouldn't be complete without these 2 songs. So the first one is Radio, which I told Ignacio, I know you're going to not think this is crazy because of who you are. I know you won't think this is crazy, but I have this cardinal that keeps coming to me in my mindscape. Okay, there's this cardinal that's like floating around in my mindscape. It keeps coming to me. I don't know why. And what did you say? Do you remember? I remember what you said.
I just know that I've revisited the concept of the cardinal so many times since, including at Psy Games. I think it was the first morning I got up and I was headed down to the venue, and there's a cardinal singing, and I took a video of it, and it was beautiful, and I sent it over to you. I don't recall which time.
You said a couple of things, but one thing that really struck me was you said, how can you observe the cardinal from a different perspective? Ask the cardinal if you can see it from above, from the side, from below, from behind, and just view it in a fuller perspective and just ask it questions. And so I did that, and it didn't take long. I don't know how long it was. And I said, I have a song. It was maybe a week.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't sit down every day for a week. I was asking the cardinal things for a week, and then I let it go. You said, let it go.
Don't force it.
Don't force it. And then I came back, and I have the song Radio, which I'm realizing a year later, just how multi-layered that one song is and how much there is in it that I didn't necessarily do on purpose and figure it out in my brain. It just happened. And the intro is a quote from Joe McMoneagle. He said that when I went to film for the History Channel about the boxes, the infinite boxes, and time not being real. And that really struck me in an interesting way. And so the concept of the song Radio is it scrambles the chronology of the album itself, because each song is an era of my life. Radio is kind of like time isn't real. Let's get to the core of you, your total self, your higher self, right? And tapping into that, tuning in like Monroe frequencies, right? We're tuning in like a radio to the heart frequency and letting go. We're just letting go and we're experiencing, which is what happened when I was at Monroe the first time. So that song is kind of about that experience, if that makes sense. And it wouldn't have existed if I had rushed everything. So that happened before Creation Station. And then we get to Creation Station and my song Bubble came out and was...
You got quiet. You got quiet. I can share that because Emily, you always a great conversation, great talk, and we started, and then all of a sudden, you went inside. Something happened, and you were busy, and you'd come back, and we would be sharing and talking. Emily, anything you'd like to share? No, I'm good right now. But we move on,
which is unusual. I always have a comment.
We always have good stuff to talk about.
We're always chatting.
Yep.
You're right. I did get quiet, and I literally, this is unusual because it took me years to finish recording any of these songs. Bubble was written in real time and recorded and completed from the start to the finish of Creation Station.
Yeah, by Sunday night you were done.
I was done recording it. That's huge.
Recording it?
Recording it was done. Every take was a first take on Bubble.
Wow.
And it's like 30 layers of overlapping timed, off time, different layers of voice. All of it is voice except for one piano track. All the wind sound, the bird sound, the wind, all of it is my voice.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was in this hurricane. It was a tropical storm that weekend, and Jack was he was filming for that reality TV show for pickleball.
That unfortunately never aired.
Yeah, and he was away, and I was alone during a tropical storm, and I just kept hearing this bird. I didn't know if it was a cardinal or not, but my mind was like the cardinal, thinking about that. And this bird was singing during a hurricane, and in my expanded state, I was like, this is amazing, right? A bird singing in a hurricane. And so I just started laying down all these sounds, like all these sounds. And then I just started singing what I was feeling. And when you listen to it, I realize now, I don't know if I should say this. I don't know if it's okay. But that song, when I went to Gateway this year, a year later, I was in Focus 15 and I was like, this is what it feels like. That's what it feels like for me, is the song Bubble, which is also like,
it's accurate,
timelessness, right? I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
You can say that,
right? Yeah. So
the whole point is not to spoil exercises for people.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's timelessness, right? And
it's Focus 15 is no time.
Yeah.
And Bubble, when I wrote it, I knew that song didn't have a color; it was colorless, and that is often just like void. 15, there's no time, there's nothing. It's a void, right? A good void. And
stillness.
Yeah,
quiet.
And everything,
all potential.
Yeah, and all happening at once. All of it. And so it's like this sound going by, this thought going by, this feeling here in the center, and all of it kind of climaxing into this moment, and then you come out of it. And I didn't plan that. It just happened. And that was the glory of Creation Station. I mean, there was more to it than that, of course, but that was the fruits of
And I can say even
letting go. I wouldn't even say the labor. It was the fruit of letting go in your care.
Yeah. And we talked about this, that particular track was a really tricky one to work with in terms of creating the entrainment for that track. And I struggled with it, and I tried different things, and because of the sound that we were enhancing, and could not figure out what would work best. And so I just kind of stepped away, came back to it, and realized, okay, you know what? You're trying way too hard. And I let go. And the answer was there the whole time. It was very simple, and I created the entrainment in a matter of minutes. I knew what it should be. And it's very different than all of the other tracks. And I tried to create the album as a whole as an experience where the listener can hear one track and have this sort of blip of an experience. But if you listen to the whole thing, it's an overarching journey. But in the middle of it, there is this blip where, and we'll call it like a blip in time. But it's no time. And it's everything. It's all of it all at once. And I wish I could tell you what's in there, because it's so exactly perfect for it. But it's not by my design. The music said what it wanted. Consciousness said what it wanted. I knew the direction. It was just up to me to be the steward of that track, that music, and it will reach who it needs to reach. So my invitation is, if you get a chance to listen to it, of course, I want folks to listen to it, but compare it to the other exercises. It's a pretty special track.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It is.
And that song, so if every song is an era or a story in my life, Bubble is kind of it's not an era, but it is the healing, the bubble that I was in, that I've been in my whole life and didn't realize. And there was a moment in Gateway that when I was in Focus 15, where at Gateway this time in July, where I went back and I would find other versions of me, or just like little blips of me throughout my life, and I would put a bubble around her and just send her support. Like in really hard times, I was there. And some of those times I realized I saw things, and I just happened to, in this meditation, I would be from the perspective of where I saw the thing. And I'm like, I think I saw myself. Is that okay to say?
Yeah.
Like, I saw myself coming back from the future to lend myself support during a hard time. And 33 on the clock.
Nice.
Nice. And I wasn't thinking about the song Bubble when I was doing that. I just was intuitively, on this mission, doing this in the sound science and in the meditation. And then it hit me. I'm in Focus 15. I'm doing the bubble. And it all is just like a mad scientist, like the through line of it and how it's all connected. And it feels a lot more meaningful now. It was meaningful to begin with. But anyway, I never thought I would sing this song live because it's so complicated. There's no time signature. The voices are over layering. And as soon as I get out of Gateway, I get a text from Hakeem, and he's like, hey, can you sing Bubble this week at Psy Games? Out of all the songs on the album, I just never thought I would be able to do that one live. And it was the first one that I had to sing live.
Yeah. A couple of days after Gateway, after traveling, after probably not practicing for a week.
Or like a few months.
Yeah, well, that too. But for sure, you were busy at Gateway for the week. And and it was beautiful. There were a lot of tears.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of tears.
It meant so much beautiful. Having you in the audience.
Wait a minute. We cannot miss this. And I'm sure you saw this. But when she closed her eyes and was preparing herself mentally to perform, that freaking phoenix lit up in the corner of the room. Do we want to describe that phoenix for the listener that wasn't there?
Y'all describe it.
You do it because you brought it up.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
The phoenix was this device that Hakeem had created by a team of engineers. Were they DOPS people? I can't remember who made it, but it's basically, it has an antenna and it measures energy signatures with a statistical randomness of like 1 in 25,000 odds. So in other words, for like a layman like me who doesn't quite understand the brilliance of the technology, but just understands what it does, it's essentially picking up anomalous energy signatures in the room by constantly running these odds of detecting energy signatures and a 1 in 25,000 chance of randomness. So if there's an anomalous, some sort of psychic thing happening, you know, it's picking it up because it's constantly sweeping energy signatures. So when people would be like moving the Eagly wheel or, you know, remote viewing or doing like kind of weird things.
Hugging. I think it happened once when Hakeem was hugging somebody on stage.
Yeah,
and it lit up.
probably did, you know, just any sort of high energetic state. It would light up, and it lit up when you rehearsed the night before, and then it lit up when you actually performed it for a moment. I'm sure it's on video somewhere, but
it is.
You closed your eyes to kind of like get into the mental state, and it flashed when your eyes were closed, and everyone was like,
right.
Yeah. So it's obviously a special song.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was told after, I didn't know it lit
because your eyes were closed.
It was behind me.
Yeah,
and my eyes were closed. The moment someone told me, I think it was Corey Moo. Corey said, or you told me.
I ran up to you.
You ran up to me and told me, and then Corey had the video. Shout out Corey.
Shout out Corey.
Sure. Yeah. I knew when it happened. I felt it because when I closed my eyes, what was happening was the sound people who were lovely. If you're listening, you were great. Things happen. You know, things happen. It's normal. And my music wasn't starting. So I just had an extra long kind of awkward pause of what am I going to do while the music's not playing. And, you know, a young performer might feel like they have to do something, you know, to fill the gap. But I am like, no, I'm going to just like chill here for a second. There's no pressure. I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to embody the song. So I close my eyes and I just take a breath and I think about that synesthetic impression of Bubble and what that feels like. And I had just left Gateway, so I was kind of not grounded anyway, if I'm being honest. So I just stepped into that sort of like a suit, an energetic armor. I just fused with that, and then that's when it lit up.
Yep. I had a similar experience having my brain scanned at the Monroe Institute, being a participant in a research experiment they were doing. And it was a similar thing where I had this synesthetic feeling of like merging with the divine feminine. Like I felt like I was seeing through her eyes and all this, like these sensations going through where I felt like, you know, in my hands, in my mind's eye, I was looking down and it was her hands. And there were some times where the computers were acting up. It took them like 10 minutes to get it started. And me and Vicky, have you ever met Vicky?
I don't think so.
She's an older gal who's been there like dozens of times. She's retired and she just goes for the fun of it. And she just goes and goes and goes and goes. And she can just like be like, I want to be in Gamma. And boom, she's in Gamma. She's amazing. And we were hooked up with EEGs and we both felt like really weird things, sending signals to each other mentally. And I had a similar thing where I had that synesthetic experience where I felt like I was, you know, merged with this higher force. And at the end they were like, oh my God, your right brainwaves had the highest levels we'd ever seen. And I was like, what does this mean? What does this mean?
I'm glad you said that because I always talk to the lady whenever I do anything, especially performing or connecting with the phenomenon. And I did do that. So yeah. I asked her, you know, sing through me and yeah, connected with her and that impression of the song. So
wow.
Yeah.
The cool thing, you know, who doesn't like bubbles?
Right.
You know, and you've ever heard, you know, try saying the word bubble without smiling. You can't.
I love bubbles. I was a bubble kid.
Bubble.
I always played with bubbles.
You can say it hard even and it still feels soft.
Yeah.
Bubble.
Bubble.
That's kind of fun.
I never say the word bubble in the song.
That's true.
Not even once.
I think of it as orbs.
Yeah, it is also orbs.
Yeah. Well, we had another connected experience at your gateway. You want to go into that?
There's a lot. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we wanted to wrap up. Obviously, I want Ignacio to talk about what he did on the album before we step away from
that. What
did
you actually do on the album?
Yeah, like what did you do?
Because it's like we collab.
We collab.
What does that mean, right? Well, if you guys remember from last week, Ignacio is a Monroe Sound Science engineer. And also the director of music strategy for the Institute. So this is kind of in his ballpark, and Emily's just one of many amazing artists that he collaborated with. So yeah, like in a basic way for us normies to understand, like what do you actually do? Like what is entrainment? We didn't even talk about that last week.
Well, the entrainment is based on methods that Bob created through research and experimenting with these expanded states on himself, firstly and primarily, to help guide explorers to targeted states of awareness, like this space of no time in Focus 15 or Focus 10, where the mind is awake and the body is asleep or deeply, deeply relaxed. So a lot of steps. We talked about creativity, like Emily said, we've talked a lot about music and performing, and we share stories about what pieces you've played and what, we shared that. So that's kind of fun. And of course we talk about our teaching as well. But we talked a lot about the concept or the challenge of artistic blocks or perceived blocks where you're stuck or you can't write or perform or create. And, I think we, in sharing that and talking about it, and you said this, now you learned a lot, but also by me finding words to help in creativity and in building the album, that was a reinforcement for me. And sometimes there were things I needed to hear in my own creativity, or just a reminder, a reinforcement. Okay, you have some experience around this. You need to share that. You need to, sort of empower other artists to find their voice, which is one of the first things we do at Creation Station. Day one, we find your voice. That's all I'll say about that, but it's a fun thing. No, you're not required to sing if you sign up for Creation Station.
Can I just say something for the listener at home? You don't have to be a piano player. You don't have to be a musician to do Creation Station.
Or artist, yeah.
Me and Alex did this as podcasters. You can be a writer. You could be a business exec who needs to think creatively. This is not about making music, the program, Creation Station. It is about accessing creative intelligence. And in my humble opinion, this benefits everybody. But anyway, I just wanted to clear confusion there.
Said very well. So we talked about the creativity around the album, and I think just through conversations, somehow the inspiration and the organization of the album, the colors, I think we changed the order. You had a certain order.
We changed the order. I can go in order. I can say the order if that would be interesting for the listener, like the chronological order. Mm-hmm. First would be Wind Chimes, which is pink. That's like my early childhood before we lost everything. And then it would be Angels, which is green, which is the 5 years of darkness, period, right? Mm-hmm. And then it goes into Yellow, which is Ode to You, if you've heard the one with Teddy, my nephew, speaking. And then it would be Blue, which is the song Clear. And then it would go into Purple, which is called Purple. Because what else do you call it? It's so strongly in my mind's eye, purple. It had to be purple. And something had to be named
a color.
And that's like the highest chakra anyway, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it purple is the highest, or is it pink?
Violet.
Okay.
Yeah. Indigo violet.
It just made sense. It's purple.
Yeah. I mean, the album's called Colors, so there had to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what am I missing?
Bubble.
That was Clear, right?
Then it would go
Radio,
to Radio,
which is red.
Yes, and then the interesting is all of the time is white, but it represents all of the colors. It's all of them. So it's not really a time period. It's a through line that's always been there. And then Bubble is timelessness. So it's kind of the opposite. It's none of them, but it's also all of them. It's the bubble around that through line. Okay. I might have missed one. Oh, I missed A Long Way Home. I knew I missed one. That is Orange, which would have come after Red. So it's Red and Radio, and then Long Way Home, Orange. Mm-hmm. But through our collaboration, I just came out with Radio, and all of it scrambled. And I find that the order we landed on was poetic.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Very.
So continue.
And so we talked about the creativity around the album, the order, and then sort of the target and what these targeted states should be. And I thought about it a lot, and then ultimately landed on what this should do, what the entrainment should do, what it could do, and the possibilities that it could offer the listener. And I remember sending Emily a text that I think I figured this out, and it was really exciting because the music's beautiful, the voice is beautiful, the story is great, all of that. And how do we really help to communicate this in such a way that it reaches people in the best way for the individual? Mm-hmm. So do I target a specific experience? Do I try to influence that? And that didn't seem right. It just didn't settle well. And so for me, the goal, or the objective really, not the goal, the objective was, how do I create entrainment that would allow the music to reach and do its work? So you have this sort of interdependent relationship between the entrainment and the art itself, because art moves people one way or another. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't, but it impacts you. And from my perspective as an artist, if you're indifferent about it, I didn't do my job. I'd rather have you just not like it or really like it. Pick one.
Feel some emotion.
Something. But if you kind of go, it's okay. You know? So how do I do this? Because the music has its own trajectory for each person that listens to it, because every person's different and they perceive things a different way. And then the next day when that same person goes to listen to it again, guess what? They're different. And the next day they're different. And so I see this experience in this album as it's changing. It's going to be different each time the person listens. So do I do a specific experience? And I say no. And so to me, the target was, how do I move? No, let me rephrase this. How do I support the music as the carrier of the story and the substance? And to me is, how do I help people maintain focus on what they're listening to and not just allow it to be in the background, though it is nice in the background, and we do this in our house too. It's just in the background. But guide people to be focused on the words, the sounds, the harmony, which if they are, then the entrainment can do its work and synchronize the brain. But then also be in a space to invite expanded thought.
I like this.
Because the music is the carrier, the sound. And this is why I work to diversify the catalog, because I want folks who are listening to these exercises to be really interested in the sound they're listening to. Because if they're really attentive, that makes for such a great sort of delivery system for the entrainment.
That's beautiful.
And then we've targeted and reached that state, and now greater perception of unlimited potentials happens.
It's amazing, too, to think about a lot of things. One being, I just was some uneducated Monroe person at Monroe having this experience, right? I went there, no preface, had this wild experience that changed my life. And here I am years later with the director of music putting the entrainment on my album that I wrote because I went there.
With music you guys
made
together, basically.
Two of the songs we kind of wrote,
but he put signals on every song. So technically you guys made the songs. Music.
And then what else is amazing is because I think the intention was there for both of us and Nick as well, who did the
Shout
production.
Out Nick,
Shout
who
out
produced the whole
Nick.
thing. And he did an
Y'all
amazing
know Nick.
job.
He did a great job.
Yeah, they better know Nick. He's only been not on the show like 2 months.
Like
they're not forgot about now.
No, Nick was fabulous, and I could say a lot about him, but
very talented.
Very talented. And anyway, the intention was there all around to honor the music that came to me, because that was it, and then to let it go. And when we let it go, it really has taken a life on its own. And the moment it released at midnight when I was at Gateway, I never heard a mistake. That was the first time I heard it and wasn't hearing mistakes.
That's true, because she kept...
When it released and it was in the world, I no longer heard the things I didn't like about myself.
She was very critical of those early drafts. And then me and everybody around her were like, it sounds great. What are you talking about?
It was more so like the vocal takes and the little things with, that
little
kind of
things.
thing. I loved the music.
It's common stuff.
The moment it released, it was its own thing. And
you just let go at that
point. I felt like I really loved it. And I've since heard some really amazing stories from people telling me their testimonial about listening to the music. And to me, it's almost like I'm what's the word? I'm just a passerby, hearing the story, because it's not really mine anymore.
Observing.
I'm an observer of their story, even though it is my music. I feel like it's its own thing now. And I've heard some grown men tell me, I don't cry, and I heard your music and I couldn't stop crying. And I think that's a combination of the entrainment and then just the intention and the actual, healing of the music itself.
Your voice too.
The birth of the music was from my healing process and the entrainment. It's just really powerful. And I've heard some pretty interesting phenomenon type stories about it.
I don't know any of this. I'm curious. I'm dying to know here.
I've heard multiple people tell me, if you remember at the Ubiquity University event in June,
I need to
August.
Get in touch with them.
In August.
I need to.
Was that August?
Yeah.
A group of people ran up to me. I think it was, I don't want to forget who all was in the car. There were 5 people in the car. If you remember, Ingrid.
Yes.
And Jimmy and Kyle, and it might have been Casey and one other. Anyway, a group of people ran up to me on the way to the Skywatch. They were strangers. They didn't know each other, and they were
carpooling because everybody flew in from around the country and some people from other countries, and they were all like, all right, we all got to get to the beach. Hey, I have a car in town. I can fit 5. It's like a bunch of strangers in a car just driving across town.
They're carpooling, and they're on the way to Skywatch with us, and they're talking and having this really personal, beautiful conversation about angels, and realizing that they said something specifically about how, maybe we are angels, right? And we're spiritual beings, and the angels are with us, and they're all around us, and we're like them, and this kind of conversation. And it was total silence. And then in the middle of this, some of them are to tears having this awakening conversation. It pops up on the radio, and it says angels on someone's Bluetooth connected, and my song Angels popped up. And
just started playing.
They were just like freaked out. And someone else told me the same thing happened, basically, with that song in particular. And then there's just a lot of that kind of thing, the synchronous moments with the songs, and how they have helped people realize it's okay to believe in themselves and to step into their voice, which is the whole basis of my business and what I do as a professional anyway. So that is a huge layer of connection. But yeah, a lot of synchronicities and people feeling like they finally have permission to cry. I finally have permission to sing and not feel stupid for it. And
that music in combination with the entrainment signals is bringing people to an actual real emotional state where in my understanding, the blockages are being so released so that they can actually have catharsis emotionally. I'm not gonna lie and tell you, I didn't cry when she sang Bubble live at the Side Games. I said she made a grown man weep. Mm-hmm. I'm not the kind of, I've to put it bluntly, I'm not the kind to like cry when people sing. I'm just not. I cry when I watch One Piece, and that's about it, right? But music doesn't really necessarily get me that way. I'm a heavy metal guy, really heavy. And when she sang Bubble, I was just weeping. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing.
But see, what's so neat about what you're both saying right now is all this whole spectrum of people, strangers in a car, hundreds of people on
older
a Skywatch, older men, kid, a little girl. I saw a little girl,
multiple children
that are having experiences, and they're sitting on their couch with their devices and saying, Emily's going to sing now. And they're so excited about it. But it's the same few songs.
Yeah.
But look at the diversity of experience. It's so subjective, the potential with whatever the individual brings to the song.
Right.
And they hear it through that filter. This was, to me, that was my objective, is how can I reach so many different people? Or how can I help? It wasn't really me. How can I help reach so many people the best way for them in that moment? And this was working to create entrainment that allowed them to have an expansive experience where their perspective was no longer tunnel vision, but to see unlimited potential that is ultimately them.
Which therefore then Emily's music and all the energy that she's placed into this brings people to a state of emotional healing. Yeah. So if I'm just thinking about it more clearly, it's like the signals that you've placed are opening people in such a way, and then the music is going in and it's doing its job, which is bringing healing and release. That's a really powerful combination.
'Cause it's intent.
Yeah.
It's intent.
Yeah, it's almost like you might have just said this, but in my brain, you're like opening people, right? And then the intent, the actual releasing that I experienced, the blockages released, the catharsis of all of my experience.
It's coming through your voice.
It's coming through my voice, my intention, and allowing people to have a similar thing if that's what their experience needs. I might have just
this is magic, guys.
That's great. No, that's
this
great.
is magic. This is wonderful.
I'm grateful.
Yeah,
I'm so grateful. I really am. It's not about me. I see it as about every listener. It's about each individual listener. Mm-hmm. It's about you, the listener, you, mm-hmm. you, and you, and you, and all of us can have a unique experience because we're all worthy and we're all important. And this whole discussion is why my business is the way it is. I went from traditional like voice training at NYU, a singing voice specialist, and went totally into this stuff, right? Unlocking the nervous system, the voice, and like your identity, your confidence, your sense of self. And then I meet Ignacio, who's like, like bringing all of this magic in here and like sprinkling it even more, and then inviting my program students to do his programs. It's just a beautiful connection. There's so many layers that we couldn't make up.
You guys should definitely write a song together.
Oh yeah,
that's a genius idea that I just created. I'm just kidding. You guys have already been talking about it.
We'll call it Ryan. The name of the song will be called Ryan.
Yeah, but no, seriously, that would be really cool if you guys actually do get around to.
We've talked about more Yeah, we do. We've talked about more collaboration.
Well, don't let me blow up your spot.
Lots of plans. But yeah, thank you. What he did was it really took this music to the next level, and every step of the way was enhanced by your participation, the fact that it was released the day I left Gateway was just beautiful, and that was all you. I wanted to release each song individually, and he said that is not the way. And
good
he
idea.
saved me.
Yes.
Because I still had that pressure of this is what, you know, the musicians have to do these days to make it, you know, you have to release it a certain way and following the steps, but like, there's no rules.
Yeah, that's right.
What's better for the project? And that's where he came.
Let's think about it a different way. Yeah. See it from this side. What about here?
Yeah.
So thank you. But yeah, we can dive into Gateway if you want.
Yeah.
Sure. So something I'm very curious about, because I've never done a program that wasn't an official Monroe program like you've done, where you went for the History Channel or you did like the private UAP thing in 2022. I'm curious what your experience was, or you know, similarities, differences between that 2022 program and Gateway. Do you feel as if the curriculum and the pacing of Gateway was, you know, more impactful, more profound? Did you appreciate learning all of the steps and the processes? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought they were both great. I loved the curriculum of Gateway. I loved the structure and the order of it. I really enjoyed the way you expand more and more, and you're kind of guided as you go. This is what's happening, and you have targeted things you're doing like within some of the meditations. And yeah, I felt like I had a little more control, and I knew what was happening, and you're really observing the change, and you're given the framework and the sensation of what the different focus levels are. So this is focus 12, you're here, right? And so you get to experience what that's like, and kind of imprint that, so you know what that is
Systematically.
Yeah, there's a system, there's a framework, and that was so enlightening for me, because I mean, when I went the first time, I was doing all of these levels but didn't know what they were, which is okay. It was great, but I didn't understand. And by doing Gateway, tell me if this is your experience, or if you know anyone who has said this, but I felt like by having the reference of this is what expanded state you're going into, or focus level, I was realizing I've always been doing this and didn't understand what this sensation was. I just always thought I was different and spacey. Always kind of a spaced out kid, or growing up, like I was different, had a hard time talking, and then doing these and really building that sensation of this is what this focus level is. I'm like, that makes me think about a lot of my childhood, where I was like, hello, Emily, are you listening? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like floating away somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. I've talked with people who have described that they've had these experiences, or it's somehow familiar.
Yeah.
And maybe not the progressiveness of it, but they describe an experience they've had. It was just this glimmer of it. It must have been this. But because these are natural states for everyone, and you experience them, maybe you were a little more aware as a child, or, you know, somehow this was sort of in your...
It's natural for you.
It's natural for you, yeah. Let's say that. What's happening now is that you're systematically and progressively learning how to sense those changes, those... I get that phasing from one state of awareness to another.
Right.
And so now you have a way to sort of qualify it. Oh, this is what it feels like. This is how I sense this kind of very subtle shift. Say from focus 10 to focus 12. Or, I know what it feels like being in the waking state when Bob guides me to focus 10. And then, I see, I understand that now. And so I think Gateway provides that way for participants to begin to recognize and then begin to navigate those states.
Yeah, so I loved that aspect of it. I also just loved hanging out with everyone that was there. I had a really great group of creators and people that participated. It was, I was pretty nervous starting out. Like, who am I to, be there with all these pretty big people? But they were also...
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah, they were so lovely. We had a great time. By the end of it, we're all just hugging and crying, and they all I didn't plan this. They decided to throw me a release party on the last night. So after we finished our final,
closing.
Our closing thing, we stayed up till midnight and listened to my music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but throughout that, I had a lot of pretty big realizations in my meditations. But I will just offer that the very last thing we did was kind of a bonus. We all went out to the circle near the crystal, and we did a bonus meditation as a group while sky watching. They were all like, "Oh, Emily's here, so we have to sky watch. There's a Bledsoe here. Ha, ha, ha. We're gonna sky watch." So I'm like, "Okay." We're out there. We're seeing stuff, of course, and it was great. And we were, I think, at Focus 18, which is not in the Gateway series, but it is a level. And we were doing that while sky watching. And I'm on one half of the circle around this fire. And okay, I'll start from my perception. I was sitting there, I'm staring up, I have my headphones in, and someone comes and walks over and stands behind me. And in my head, I'm not going to look at them. I'm focused, right? I'm doing my thing. I'm not going to look over, but someone is standing over my shoulder. I'm thinking, who is doing this? Why aren't they participating? Or maybe they felt restless, whatever. Well, we all finished the exercise, and my half of the circle just starts saying, who was walking? Who stood up and walked behind us? Who was walking? Someone stood behind my shoulder. Like 6 of us on our side of the circle said the same thing. And Maya, our instructor, said she saw a person, a dark silhouette, a shadow, a person walking behind us the whole time. But nobody was there. There was nobody there. And we all felt it.
Wow.
Some of the people were kind of freaked out.
Cool.
They were a little freaked out by it. But I was like, guys, it's the phenomenon. It's fine. They're here. We're seeing stuff. It can be anything. Like, who knows what it is? The phenomenon is kind of a bucket term that we use for anything
out of the ordinary.
That we've,
supernatural.
It's supernatural.
Yeah, the beings.
The beings. And it's, our intention is
dark
good.
Silhouette doesn't mean evil.
It doesn't mean evil.
Sometimes can appear that way.
Right. But some of these people had never seen anything.
Yeah.
We were seeing orbs, flashes, streaks, and there was like an entity behind us. So they're like,
We've
what's
seen
going
tons of those
on?
growing up.
I know. I've seen a ton of them. So I'm like, they're here. And I'm all
this
like
is
excited.
What you wanted. You're looking for this.
Have some popcorn.
I'm like, guys, there's popcorn. There's entities. And like, and then we went and then listened to
I thought you wanted this.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
It was great. It was great.
That's awesome. That's amazing. To get back to your previous question, because I wanted to provide some context on that. That was not my experience. Being like, oh, this is a familiar state I've been in before. That's not what I personally experienced. But when I did my first program last weekend, my Exploring Consciousness program as an outreach trainer, I had people report that they'd never done any of this kind of work, and they were like, this is very familiar to me. It's something that I naturally, and it's like, for example, this individual has done so many other different disciplines like psychedelics, breath work, different shamanistic meditation. So like, this is not brand new territory.
Right.
There's a carryover, a lot of similarities between all these different things. Monroe is just so good because it like systematically categorizes it, and it's like very meticulous training, but Monroe doesn't create these states. Monroe just found them, labeled them, earmarked them, and put signposts there and said, 3 miles left, the state beyond space and time, 5 miles right, consciousness existing within other realities. And it just does it better than pretty much anyone else. But that doesn't mean people haven't accessed these states. As you were saying, you've experienced your whole life. That was not my experience.
I think maybe our story, we've been experiencing real in your face phenomenon since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And before that, going through severe trauma and like big stuff as a family. And I always withdrew and observed and didn't necessarily participate. Mm-hmm. I would listen and absorb. And so I'm just thinking, also as a creative kid with like ADHD and ADD, you know, it's different in girls. The way it shows up is different. I'm just absorbing and like expanding while I'm listening and, seeing all of this stuff. Whereas Ryan's like out there talking and asking the questions and doing the stuff. I'm standing there right next to him listening and just like beholding all of this stuff and his things he's learning and what Dad's saying, and then just going and putting it all on the piano. Yeah. Right. So I was constantly in my head as a kid and just like imagining and also seeing real stuff. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely saw myself at different time periods, and I realize now that maybe some of the phenomenon I was seeing was myself in the future, which is something that we talked about while we were at Gateway that people report. Yeah, like shadow figures. Maybe the thing in the circle was one of us going back and viewing that experience, and that was someone walking around. Could have been. So I nothing's off the table, right? Because if you remember in that one episode where I talked about being at the old house and the beings showed me everything happening at once. Mm-hmm. Basically, I was taken back there and I was shown how everything that happened that I saw, light bulbs exploding, doors slamming, orbs in the house, shadow figures, glowing entities, like all of these things, hundreds or thousands of things. What would you say? Like over the years in that house?
Yeah.
I was shown and it might not have exactly been this way, but it doesn't matter because it meant something to me and it felt real. And validated it. They showed me all of it happening at one time. Mm-hmm. It was like a boom, 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 boom. Maybe some of that was me. I don't know, but
if we're all one,
yeah. And they I don't mean to go too far into that.
That's in the movie Interstellar,
right?
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
I suspect that's more real than we know.
Yeah.
That we're at various points. When I was a child in like maybe the first, second, third grade, I used to be obsessed. And it's not like I would say this out loud. Kids don't just necessarily say all their thoughts. I mean, a lot of them they do. Mm-hmm. Kids say the darndest things, but when I was a child, something that I was constantly obsessed with was the idea of sending messages to myself in the future, or like, what if my future self came and saw me? Mm-hmm. Yep. And I wonder if that young child version of me was only even thinking that because on the subtle level of consciousness, that was happening. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because just as present now as if I was that 6 or 7 year old child, I still think those thoughts and remember those thoughts. But for me, it's like, here I am, what do you think of me? As a child, I'm like, I wonder what I'll be like when I'm older. You know what I mean? I wonder what he would say to me. I wonder what he would tell me, what he would warn me about. Even in the elementary school, which is crazy. Like, a kid's just sitting around thinking that, So I wonder if it's the same phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think all of it is happening, everything, everywhere, all at once, like the movie. It's all cross... not contaminated, but it's all connecting. Mm-hmm. And the intention I have towards my inner child is affecting not only my current self, but my past selves. Mm-hmm. And so that work is really important. And but I could go on and on about different, I felt like I clicked out and fell asleep maybe twice at Gateway. Everything else was like significant. So I could say a lot, but in particular, saw myself with some beings, some of the angels. I mean, at this point, we just say they're angels. That's what we believe, right? We used to not say that publicly because it was controversial, but they're angels to me. I saw them, and they showed me some things about, I didn't expect to say, but I'm saying it now, so I guess it's meant to be, but showed me some things about Ryan and I and Jeremy being kind of in a hypnotic state, not aware, and being guided with them, if that makes sense.
And why am I just now hearing about this?
I told you. You might not have.
I don't remember this. Explain, please.
I'm sort of skirting around it because I feel a little scared to say it. I don't know.
Just rip it.
Well, I didn't expect to say it, which is why I'm saying it. It's important, I guess.
Well, it pertains to me.
You're seeing me freeze up right now in real time.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to.
No, I can say it if you think it's okay.
It's my show.
I think you can say it.
Yeah, it's my freaking show. Who's gonna call me and get me in trouble?
I'll just say, like Ignacio said earlier, I always have something to say. Every debrief after an experience, I would have to tell myself not to share.
Yeah, me too. A lot of times.
Because I always like.
A lot of times.
Even as a kid, like I always had an answer. Like I just love participating.
Yeah, in school or whatever, I'm the same way.
I'm usually pretty tactful, but I had to like stop. But after this particular thing happened at Gateway, I didn't want to share because I needed to process. I was like, this is a lot. I told like Patty. Shout out Patty.
Yes, an angel.
And Jen. Shout out JK Ultra.
Shout out JK Ultra.
My girls. I told them because I was like, I need to tell somebody, but I felt a little crazy that and it's funny that I would think this is crazy knowing who we are, you know, but I'll quit rambling and just say it. I saw myself, little girl, being led by a glowing entity into the backyard where I then their perspective was changing. So at one point I was myself walking, but then it kind of tapped out because I wasn't aware, if that makes sense. So I was then observing myself from the wall, you know, like a fly on the wall. And I also saw Ryan and Jeremy, and there were like these angels around us, and we weren't aware. It was like we were asleep walking, and they took us in the backyard, and we were sort of zoomed up in a white light, and we were in an orb, and I was by myself in this orb. I don't remember seeing you there, but I was in this orb in space, in the sky somewhere, and it was very interesting. And I was talking to these beings, and they kind of communicate in thought, and they communicate in imagery for me, and maybe some words. And I was like, why can't I see your face? And they were like, well, we don't want to scare you. So their face to me was like kind of just like hazy, which is how it has always been in my dreams. I have these almost out of body dreams that I don't think are dreams, where I'm communicating with them.
I did my whole childhood.
Yeah.
I would dream of being on their
People don't understand sometimes that can be real. It's not always just a dream. Sometimes it is, but I don't think it always is, because I'm waking up literally electrified and I'm hyperventilating, right? So I don't throw any of that out of the table, okay? Anyway, it was that same sensation, and I just asked, why can't I see your face? And they're like, well, we don't want you to freak out. Our faces aren't what you're used to. And they just told me a bunch of stuff. And it was like another layer of things to unpack.
In time.
Yeah, I've had all kinds of dreams, like being in a black room and there's 3 of them around me and they're just talking to me and I'm just sitting there listening. Or I've had dreams like I'm driving out by H. Bullard, you know, country dark road at night, and you know, they're just standing on the side of the road, and then I stop my car and it's go up. Like, I've had all kinds of dreams like that. That doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
That wasn't that hard.
I mean, I just like...
You already know that you've... Come on, man. You touched the metal that the government brought to you, and they said, oh, crap, this is proof to us nerds in NASA that you have face-to-face encounters with interdimensional beings. Like, come on.
It's been baby steps for me in sharing this stuff publicly. And I think it's like, also everyone gets in my face. I don't mean this in a negative way, but people are always messaging me, always in my face, like at events, talking about how great my dad is and his experiences. And it almost puts a complex. It almost puts a complex, like none of my stuff is real. Because it's never like, not never. I'm not catastrophizing. But it's not generally as observed.
Yeah, this is a concept that we talked about for last episode. Around truth, and you can say that, and there are going to be people that say, that sounds outlandish, it's not true, but once they experience that, or some sliver of that, then it becomes their personal truth through experience. Bob says this, what you don't believe me, go try for yourself.
Right.
This is your personal truth, and and I think your courage and vulnerability and being able to share it is so admirable, because it is your truth and no one can take that away. No one should try. And what counts is that it's your truth and it's your trajectory. This is your path.
Thanks.
And
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I take it as important because I did not plan to say any of that, and it just kind of flew out. But
good.
Yeah, these I guess in my mind, having these experiences, I always as a kid tried to compartmentalize it so I could function, and then it's like everyone wants to know about your dad. I saw your dad on Danny Jones. I was like, I was in the episode.
Yeah, like I was sitting beside him.
Next to him. That was me.
I always am. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of layers.
But this is like your music. It has its own trajectory. And even if you stop there or if you talk more, it's going to reach who it needs to reach.
It's almost like this.
It needs to reach.
Thank you. It's almost like this kind of stop and go thing where I'm like, I want to tell it. And then when it's my turn, finally someone's listening. It's like, oh, I can't say that.
Yeah, they'll think
That's
I'm crazy.
too much. They're going to think I'm crazy.
They're
what?
They're going to think I'm crazy, yeah.
It's just a weird thing.
I know they're going to think I'm crazy because when I was a child, everybody told me we were.
Right.
You know, not that I really know, but that's the trauma thinking.
If anyone has ever actually thought they were going crazy, it's a really intense thing, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And then as children, to be told you are crazy, your dad is crazy, everything is like, that's abuse. It's abusive.
It is abuse.
I know I'm not crazy, but yeah, we were taken when I was in an orb, and they told me lots of things and showed me lots of things. But we did want to specifically talk about our cross experience.
Yeah, so before Emily did Gateway, the week before, I did another program called Guidelines. And I'm not going to go into like too many specifics of, what exactly we're doing, but just understand that the point of it is getting to a certain state of awareness where you are able to identify, who your guides are. And for me, particularly, it presented itself, and I've talked about this before on the Astral City episode, but it presented itself to me as the Archangel Michael. But then it's told me, but, at the end of the day, we all come from one thing, and it could show me what it wants to show me, and that it's just, God consciousness, and that I'm that, and that everything is that. And it could truly show me anything, and this is something that is familiar to me, And long story short, it showed me a lot of things, but one of the things that stood out to me in particular was the symbol of a sword. And this is symbolism that's always come back for me throughout my life. And when I was younger, Dad told me, he was like, when I think of you, I see the symbol of the sword, like the sword of light. Like you are a vessel to tell the story. Like you're going to get the story out there in a different way. He's been telling me that since I was 18. I'm 32 now, so like I had dreams as a child of like glowing swords and King Arthur and all that kind of symbolism and stuff, and the sword and the stone. So when I was having my experience in the Guidelines program, he showed me a sword, and it was like put in my spine. Not in like a, stab my bones, but it was like, imagine my spine is a sword. And the cross guard was in my shoulders, and then the hilt was up in my forehead, and there was a ruby in each of the arms of the cross guard, and then there was a ruby in the hilt. And it was like, the ruby is your stone. This is significant to you. It showed me, the star Regulus and how it was somehow related to the ruby. And that Regulus is my star because I'm a Leo, so I'm literally born under Regulus. Literally. It's the mane of the lion. My name is Ryan, which is Gaelic for little king. And there's just all the symbolism. And all this was being explained to me. And then it said, anytime you are feeling succumbed by darkness, think of this sword, and will help you. And then a week later, I hadn't talked to Emily because I'm doing a program for a week. You're supposed to disconnect. And I had company in town from England anyway for 2 weeks. So I'm not like talking to people too much. I'm doing my program. I'm focused. And then my program wraps Friday. And then Emily goes to her program Saturday. So there's like 2 weeks there that we're really not supposed to be like I'm not talking to anybody on the outside world really, and then you aren't either. So there's 2 weeks there that I did a program, and then back to back she did a program, and then the following week we were at Psy Games. So we were together, and we were having lunch with a bunch of friends. Emily starts telling a story, and I'm like, I kind of beeline to her story when I'm in the middle of something with someone else. And I'm like, what did you just say? And then tell them what you saw at Gateway.
So these beings I'm telling you about that took me up and showed me all the stuff, one of the things they showed me was, and this is related also to what happened with Beyond Skinwalker Ranch with the History Channel with, if anyone saw the episode, there's, in my episode is called Chip Off the
Orb
Chip
block.
Off the Orb Block. That's me. Anyway, I was with Dad, and they have this radio antenna right there that detects signatures, frequencies, right? And I didn't know they had that. They didn't tell us what these experiments were until they happened, right? So we weren't prompted. And I'm just looking at the woods because Dad's seeing orbs in the woods. So I'm looking in the woods, but I felt it, and I looked up and pointed and said, there's one, or something like that. There was a flash. It was too quick for the camera to detect it because it was a flash, right? They might have shown like an orb on the screen, but it was actually a flash. And the moment that I rose my hand and felt it and looked up, the signature went off. The frequency was reading the 1.69 gigahertz, which is an Earth to space frequency, which should not be coming from a human. So all of that to say is, we've been told by top NASA level government people that the spine
is an antenna.
The
bones.
And I wasn't thinking about this when I was at Monroe.
But the human bones transmit a signal out to space, and then there's a signal that returns. That's
yeah.
They even told us the frequency. I can't remember.
And,
it was a long time ago.
And Monroe teaches that we're electrical beings, and all of this information travels electrically and through signal and vibration. And I'm not thinking about this. I'm just in this sort of astral out-of-body experience where I'm face-to-face with a angelic being who's showing me that my spine is like showing me the energy going down my spine where they communicate with me, and that when I want to talk with them, I'm experiencing that energy flow in my spine. And that if I wanted to communicate, just think about, I do it anyway, but I could just like call on that energy flow through the spine. And that and then it showed me like a sword in my spine. And it was like exactly like Ryan said, with the rubies and the hilt. And it was like communicated to me to let go of any doubt, that I am sort of a warrior for our family's mission, and that I need to keep talking. And anytime I feel doubt or fear or worry, to just remember that spine and the sword there, and that I can call on that. And it's kind of double-sided. It's like the sword for confidence, but also the spine and that actual connection, which was validated on television with the History Channel, which was a huge thing for me after. And so I come out of it, and I was telling the story, and Ryan's like, what?
You forgot a part.
I also forgot to say that in a separate experience, same gateway week, I came face to face with my cat, Crystal Kitty, who passed away when I was...
And her name is Crystal, no less.
Her name is Crystal.
She was our childhood cat. Died a long time ago.
Poor Crystal Kitty. She was my kitty. Like, I could yank her tail. She didn't care. We got her when I was maybe 2 or 3.
Probably 4.
I was little, and she was a kitten.
You were in preschool.
So she was my kitty. And she came to me in this experience and told me a bunch of stuff and helped me process something kind of personal. And then she just said, remember the rubies.
And then I see her a week later, and we start talking about, I had a sword in my spine with a ruby, and we're like, how is this possible? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also went talking about seeing yourself, and you can tell me to shut up whenever, but I saw myself in medieval times, but it was like an ancestor, and she looked kind of like me, and I remember looking at her and thinking, I must be making this up because she looks too similar to me. Why would she look like me if I'm not making this up? And she like turned and looked at me, and her eyes were kind of glowing, and she said, that's because we're related. And then I saw all of this stuff, and then the spine, and it was like conveying to me that her spiritual awakening and mine were connected. They were cross-connected. And she was able to observe me as a consciousness being in the ether, right? Coming back and observing her, she saw me. So I don't know if that's 100% real, that it happened that way, but it doesn't matter. And that's one thing I love about Monroe is everyone in the debrief is like, is this real? What's happening? And they're like, does it matter?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, you're smiling. You're healing.
It's healing you. It feels real to you, and it's doing something. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, personal truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad that your gateway was profound. And I think that's a really good place to sort of settle on this. So before we go, is there anything on either of your hearts that has not been said before we close out about any of this?
I think one thing is that I'm super grateful for is, being welcomed into the family, and made some great friends, Alex included back there, awfully quiet, but, he was part of our creation station, and, glad to finally come out and sit and chat and talk about all this stuff that we always talk about anyway. I feel like we share these stories and all of this all the time, and I know it's something that it's just who we are. Mm-hmm. And it's great to be in that company where it's a safe space. And, we as trainers and the Institute work to create a safe space so that when you do come and have those experiences, you have the room to validate for yourself, not someone else validate, but have room to validate it for yourself that, yeah, I did just experience that, or I did just feel healed, or I did discover something in me that may need some healing, mm-hmm. or may need some attention. But it's great to be in this space here and to be able to have these conversations, and, what a great thing to have friends like that. Mm-hmm. And of course, Emily, friend, and colleague, professionally, what a phenomenal experience to work on the album together. I look forward to more collaborations, and Ryan, onward with our outreach training, and
yes,
it's constant learning and sharing experiences, and learning from one another that way, and really BSS and this group sharing with the world and reaching people to help them experience the lives they want to experience. Mm-hmm. So, grateful, express gratitude around that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back at you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's mutual. Emily?
It's definitely mutual. I did want to share without backtracking too much, just some of the animal things that have happened recently, because I think it's important for people to understand that they could be having experiences that they're sort of dissing, because the phenomenon isn't only entities or orbs or out-of-body experiences. It can also be nature. It can also be synchronicities of a text at the right moment. You know what I mean? And that all of it is equally important and valid. And so after I left Gateway, the day I left was the day my music was released, and I'm crying on the airplane. I'm walking through the airport. I'm expanded, and I'm looking at everyone and smiling like we're all one. We're all part of the same thing. I'm just like, you know, on the airplane, like just crying and reading messages. People love my music, and it's making them cry. And it was just this really intense thing. And so a few days later, I'm on a Zoom call with Hannah Summerhill.
Nice.
And shout out Hannah.
Yes.
The manifesting expert who's been on the show. She's lovely. And we were just chatting, and she's like, tell me about Gateway, because she went to your Gateway, both of you. And I'm talking about it. I'm talking about my music, and a massive hawk flies right into the window right next to my face. If I'm right here, the window is next to my head where I sit and type, and the hawk poof, at that moment hit the window. So weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's really weird. And it was like coming in for the kill. Like it was coming in to it's never happened. And it was big. So that happened. And then I'm writing this new song. I'm just going to tease that. I have actually a lot of new songs that I've written for many years. Actually, some of them going back all the way to when I wrote Colors. They have been waiting that long to be shared with the world. Very different. Anyway, I have this one particular song that came to me at Gateway. I drew it, as I do. I drew the song. I immediately took off the headphones. I drew it, and it's written. It's like, it's an important song to me. And I'm playing it at the piano one day, same window. And I'm playing it, and I'm thinking about, and I'm singing, and I'm thinking about the song and what it means to me and the lady and all of this stuff. And a hawk flies and lands in the grass right in front of the window, and I'm not joking, it just stands there for 3 minutes. I've never seen that. It just stood there, and it just shuffled its feet like it was bored. Like it wanted me to see that it was listening, or that it was there and present during this moment, and it was just there. I've never seen a hawk just be in the open field for no reason. Right in front of my window. And then a couple of weeks go by. I don't know when it was. In relation, it was like a week ago. I'm outside, not to mention all the bears I've seen recently, but I'm outside and I'm thinking about this song, and I'm looking at my dog. I shared this on TikTok. Some of you might have seen it on my Bledsoe baby TikTok, but I'm looking at my dog, who's this big. If you're looking at the camera, she's small, and I just felt the spidey sense tingling, and I yanked my head. And there was a cougar watching me, a massive, I've never seen a mountain lion ever. And it was just standing there looking at me while I'm thinking about the song and thinking about all of this stuff. And I picked up.
In Connecticut, by the way.
In Connecticut.
We're not talking about North Carolina. She lives in Connecticut.
For 6 months of the year, I live in Connecticut. And then 6 months I'm in North Carolina, and I'm in North Carolina right now because of Jack's pickleball job. So I travel a lot, and there's this cougar just standing and staring at me, and I got the intuitive sense that I was supposed to just see it, that I wasn't in danger. But I picked her up anyway, and it just like walked away.
Yeah, what do? You just pick up your chihuahua and you start power walking home. Don't make a scene. Ah!
Yeah. No, I just picked her up, and I stood there and I looked at it.
Run you down and freaking kill you if you react wrong. You did right.
Well, I didn't start walking away.
You kept calm.
To be honest, I just kept looking, because what it did was it looked at me.
I would have freaked out, man. A lion?
I'm calm. I'm super calm.
A lion?
In danger. I have so many stories, like the fire that happened at the house. I'm very calm when weird, crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, the cougar, it looks at me, and then it just like turns its head and just like walks away. And I think that that's the phenomenon. I really do.
It's interesting you bring that point up, and I know we're kind of, I don't want to
No, it's okay.
Prolong it. But okay. I was at a Gateway recently, and just a month ago, and there were a couple of participants that were sort of expressing the concept of, speaking with animals or communicating with animals. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because there's so many things that happen like that we sort of dismiss, but it could be guidance of some sort.
Yes.
And guidance comes to us in lots of different ways, sometimes humorous, and in this case, through nature. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman who is interested in doing Creation Station and exploring consciousness, and he asked that question, who's your greatest teacher? And one of my greatest teachers was nature, because that's the ground of everything. It's the mover of nature. There's some power in nature, whatever that is. And so I think it's important not to dismiss those kinds of experiences.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the farther you get in understanding consciousness, the harder it is to explain it with words, and the more in tune you get with the signs of it and what it actually presents itself as. It could be a nature experience with a cougar. It could be an orb in the sky. It could be a simultaneous thought that we had and we said the same thing at the same time. Like, there's no limit. Do today? Yeah, that happened to us today. Yesterday. Mm-hmm. The moment he said, "What are you going to do today?" to my dog, the little one, I was typing that the moment he said it out loud.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, all of it is on the table, and it's all potential, right? And I think so many people, and I do this day to day with my coaching, is help people unlock and unblock, and through the guise of singing, but it's also for non-singers. It's for anyone who has a voice, who has a brain, a body, and a spirit, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I say. It's a joke, but it's true. Like, through all of these methods, we can unlock you, who you are. And part of that, and being a better singer, being a better performer, a better pianist, a better husband or wife or professional, is learning to receive information. Mm-hmm. And most people are tuning all of the information out all the time, because it's not what they think it should be.
Yeah.
But it could be anything.
So funny. This gateway was in California, and there was a token, what do you call it? A mascot. Mm-hmm. It was a peacock. Kevin, who apparently was Kevin the Fourth. There was four. This peacock. But this peacock walked around, and during one of the exercises, the participants were out in the sun, actually outside. It was a beautiful day. They did their exercises in front of their rooms, and this is a longer exercise, and who should walk down the courtyard but Kevin, and plopped down in the middle of the grass in the sun and opened his feathers and just does what a peacock does. I'm a peacock. Mm-hmm. And it was the most beautiful, most peaceful thing. And it was guidance for me to see that peacock. It was the peacock. It's just a bird. But the beautiful part is it was just being itself. It was just being its natural state. It was accepting the warmth of the sun, accepting this amazing energy of all of these participants deep in these expanded states in their reball. Imagine this peacock. What better place to be? Mm-hmm. I'm a peacock, and this is the best thing ever. It was such a beautiful. So you can see subtlety. It's just ask the question: What is this? Why am I experiencing this now? What is it? Mm-hmm. What should I notice here?
I love that you guys brought this up. I actually, in VR with Ryan, brought up the same thing, that the animals and the animal symbolism and the phenomenon, and because I personally have a lot of animal interactions when trying to interact with the phenomenon. And I think, my opinion is at the root of the phenomenon is the lady. Mm-hmm. And the lady is also Mother Nature.
Right.
And so if you're quick to write these things off as coincidence, you're turning away from this phenomenon experience that you're actually having.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I made a post about it today on TikTok. It's like, if you want to connect with the phenomenon, If you want to heal your inner child or, you know, any of that, you need to also be paying attention to nature and things that are happening, because it's all connected. Yeah.
This is the concept we talked about again last episode, is this misunderstanding of going into meditation and trying to quiet your thoughts. Certainly that's a great skill, but sometimes those thoughts are your guidance. And so it's important to be present enough to say, hold on, let me just focus on this one thought. Let me contemplate this one thought. Let me stay with this, be present with that, rather than fighting and struggling to try to move that out of the way. And, you know, much to what Alex said, like, don't dismiss it. Don't turn away from it. Just stay with it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like, when you're talking about consciousness, a lot of people don't understand consciousness. They don't believe in God or whatever, you know, that there's more. But if you ask, unless you're totally against it and you put up a barrier and you're skeptical to that level, if most people were to ask random parts of their body a question, or random thoughts or voices in their head a question, they will get an answer. If I ask my hand, if I, you know, my arm, like, how are you feeling today? I'm going to get an answer. That's real, right? Most people will have that experience unless they have a serious block. And to me, that's proof, right? That's enough. There's consciousness in everything. I can go into a meditation and talk to this light if I wanted, you know, I would get something.
Yep.
So.
And isn't it funny? Those that have a barrier, they set this barrier. What are they creating a barrier to?
Right.
If it's not there, they don't need a barrier.
It's to themselves.
True.
I think.
They must sense somehow if they need a barrier.
Yep.
So there's far more. We just have to ask the right questions.
They're not asking any questions, and they're trying to shut down anything that they're hearing. And one of the biggest things that I teach, not to keep talking about it, but it's just so relevant to the Monroe mission, to all of this, to consciousness, is, you know, I believe our bodies are spiritual vessels they are perfectly created to receive and send out information and to guide us and protect us. And I can honor what my body's asking for. And by doing so, you know, asking questions, what do you need? What do you need? Checking in like it's my partner, right? And actually getting answers. And by doing that, what I'm doing is connecting on a greater level to consciousness, healing, regulating, and expanding. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I got distracted midway because Ryan made a funny face at Alex, and
we always make funny faces.
So I kind of lost my train of thought there. But I think that the wisdom of the body is the wisdom of the universe.
She blamed me.
I'm allowed to. I'm your little sister.
No, I know. We always communicate non-verbally when we're recording. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. Alex and I are always grinning at each other.
Yeah, y'all are little boys.
It means nothing necessarily related to what you're saying. So
I get it.
Yeah,
no, I get it. We're related. I've known you my whole life.
He winks at me a lot when we're talking.
I feel comfortable calling you out because I'm your sister. I'm like, all right, you're messing me up.
You can't see his face, but a lot of times he'll just wink at me if I catch his eye. He'll just like and blow kisses.
Well, the reality is, our family has always just been talking about this kind of level of stuff, so it's just kind of like
it's pretty normal to us.
Kind of casual.
Yeah. Welcome to Tuesday.
Comedic.
Yeah, and then especially with Ignacio coming from the frickin' Monroes too, where they normalize the craziest experiences, which is a good thing.
Which is important.
You know? Yeah. Wow. This was awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate Ignacio. I saw 33 on the clock again.
Yeah. And this could, honestly, it could go on and on and on and on forever. And I feel like we're at a very good naturally closing point. So I'm going to go from my left to right. Emily, where can they find you? Album, your social medias, everything.
My album's on all streaming platforms. It's called Colors. It is enhanced with Monroe Sound Science. I'm on Instagram at Emily Holloway Voice. And then I'm on TikTok, which is at Bledsoe Baby. If you want to find all of that, if you can't remember, go to emilyholloway.com.
There you go.
Good call out. Ignacio.
MonroeInstitute.org. You'll find Creation Station. You'll see me there as well. Cyphericsolutions.com for exploring consciousness and other various outreach workshops. Yeah.
How do we spell that? Cypheric?
Cypheric. CYPHERIC.
Okay.
Solutions.com.
Like a cipher. Gotcha.
Correct.
I was confused last night, but I forgot to clarify on the spelling. So cyphericsolutions.com to find Ignacio's outreach programs. Do you list Creation Station on there too?
Yes, I do.
So this is like your personal.
This is my personal
catch-all.
Right. Yep. And it but of course links to Monroe, links to my my own music, and then of course instruction for teaching and creativity. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for both of you for coming on.
Thanks
Can
for
I
having
say one
us.
more thing?
Please.
I forgot because it's new. By the time this comes out, I will have a mini course.
Oh,
out in the world that people can do.
Big deal.
It's the Your Holistic Voice mini course. Right now it is not public, but it should be by the time this airs. It is a self-paced mini version of my coaching program, Your Holistic Voice. It's for everyone with a mind, body, spirit, and voice. You don't have to be a singer, but if you are, it will help you. It will help you regardless. So that's on
Awesome.
Emily Holloway Voice on Instagram.
Congratulations. I know you've been working very hard on this.
Very hard, and I'm grateful for it. I can help more people this way because it's really hard to only work with one person at a time.
You cloned yourself.
So yeah, I can help more people this way. But thanks for having me. Thanks,
Excellent.
Alex and Ignacio.
Yeah.
Now I got to
Thank
plug
you.
something.
Oh.
I'm just going to keep it vague for now because I don't have a website yet, but soon-ish, when I actually have the time to sit down and do it, I'm also going to have a website beyond the podcast one, and they'll link each other too. But I'll have a website where I'm also posting my Monroe programs. So I just want to kind of plant that seed into people's consciousness. I'm hoping to have that up by the end of the year. I have filled my second Monroe program. I'm doing it the weekend of November 14th through the 17th. I'm very excited. We have 8 people this time. I'm going to keep working up to slightly bigger programs as I gain experience and comfort. But essentially, right now, I'm just personally emailing everybody and doing it that way. And I want to get to the point to where I have a website to where I can list schedules and just make it more streamlined. So for now, if you want to do one of my Monroe's 2 programs as well, so you have Cypheric Solutions for Ignacio. But then for one of my programs as well, you have ryanbledsoe.contact@gmail.com. Send me an email, and I'm creating mailing lists to inform people when my programs are. In the meantime, while I'm building a website, so that's all I got.
Hey, Ryan, we had a little conversation yesterday. I think it was yesterday about I don't know. Do you want to?
About
that,
doing a program together or some programs together.
Yeah, and if folks are interested, then
why don't you guys let us know if you think it would be an incredible idea? Because I think it'd be an incredible idea. Ignacio thinks it'd be an incredible idea if we do some sort of special thing where, every now and then when it makes sense for us time wise, and it could be a special thing that we periodically do where we do programs together. Where he and I, because we both are outreach trainers, in addition to all the other stuff he's got going on with the Institute, he's also an outreach trainer, which is what I am as well. So we can offer programs in common. So we've kind of been talking for a few months now about the idea of training some programs together. So let us know in the comments if you would love to attend some sort of special, big deal program that Ignacio and I co-train.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
I would like that.
I'll be there.
Excellent.
Sign me up.
Excellent.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.